Yeah. This is a test.
Oh, I think we should have every meeting.
Yeah, isn't that good? So, yeah,
Oh,
right, okay. Go on to a microphone test. So this is a test. This is just a microphone test before we start. Yeah, that sounds great. Okay. Now let's go back to the meeting will start soon slide. Perfect.
I mean, that would be here, right? Because we're still.
Yep.
I just have to.
do we have an approval for agenda motion?
We're
Yes.
making changes.
Sorry.
Changes, I do not think we're gonna need an executive session later, so unless the board needs one.
Three of us, nah.
We can take all over, okay.
I put that on there just in case, but I
Okay.
do not think.
Thanks.
The coach is on, just so you know.
Yes,
Yep.
well, let's turn it over to him. Where is he?
Is that? There he is. Hey, coach.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Kevin. All we've done is just open the meetings and Tom told us that he has no changes or additions. So we're just waiting for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda as modified, removing the executive session. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Would you like for me to go ahead and continue, Coach?
You can go ahead now.
Sure, thanks. So for the ones of you that don't know, I'm Nancy Russell. And I'm from the South. So I'm sure I will probably butcher a name or two, and my apologies right up front. Okay. So we're here to recognize some of you outstanding students that have done so much and had fun doing it in high school. And so first of all, because I don't know each one of the boys that I faced, maybe because if I don't see any hockey gear on them, I don't know them, I know by numbers. And I don't know which boy, I know some that are right here, that played on the basketball team. So I want to start with the basketball players, if you don't mind, if you will come up as I call your name. Brandon Trombley, I don't see a Trombley in the house. And Kristen Hawthorne. And these young men for the audience at home have all been named to the All League basketball team for the state of Vermont. And so congratulations to you. You've done a great job and we're very proud of you. You're very welcome. Brody Haberski.
No, here.
Did I call Kristen Hawthorne?
Yeah, you got
Oh,
Brady.
sorry.
You're looking for Brady's.
These things. Brady's not here and Brody's not here. So I guess the rest of you guys are all, yes.
Brady.
Oh, Brady. I can get you.
We were just seeing if there was.
Olmsted.
Oh.
Get in there.
Well.
Oh,
Oh, how did that happen?
Oh, you gave him his certificate?
no.
Oh.
Hey, I'm sorry. You know, this is a whole new gig for me, so I'm not.
We're just ensuring reading
The
skills.
red one. And another thing, Brady, come on down. So here you go.
Too
Thank
funny.
you very much. And congratulations to you too. So now I think we're going to the ice hockey players. Is that correct? Okay, is Ramah? No. Laughlin Park? Y'all can make it hard to get all this too. James McReynolds? Connor Tierney? Tierney?
Tierney.
Hey guys. Last year here. Have y'all ever worked with these things? This. Blaine Gore. See, just Carwood. And who else are we missing? Aussie D Police. Who am I missing? You're here for something else. Did I get all of the young men up here?
Mhm.
Woo! We are in awe of the skills that you young men have and the dedication that you have to have. I know that many practices and the games and still be wonderful in school. So we really appreciate it. We congratulate you on this and thanks again for coming tonight. You are free to go or you can stick around.
It's very exciting, I guarantee that. And thank you and congratulations, everybody.
Congratulations, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And families. Thank you for coming.
More seating now, we're good to go.
Thank you for doing that. Appreciate it.
Are you folks all here for the same issue?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if the board would consider changing around the agenda. So these folks don't need to sit for an hour plus for public comment. I think they're all here for one issue, stage floor.
So that being said, I guess we can entertain a motion, from the board to adjust the agenda in order to accommodate our guests that are here in public. If we can have a motion.
I will make that motion that we adjust the agenda for public comment at this point. And I would also suggest that we keep the 7:30 in case there's somebody with a different thing. This will be
Great.
just subject you want to present.
Second that motion.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Opposed? So moved. So I guess we will entertain public comment at this time.
You just head up to the mic right over there.
Yeah.
Yes, that way the audience at home can hear you. You're a TV star.
Just give your name, please.
Name
To-
it, where,
okay.
where are you?
What village?
Village.
From?
Yeah, so my name's Angela Krapavicki and I live in Hartford. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for your time and thanks for accommodating us in your schedule. So I am a parent of a Hartford High School first-year student, and I'm coming to you representing a group of parents and students, and we also have some here, to ask the school board to seriously consider providing financial support to purchase a new floor for the high school stage. We know that this request has been made in the past, and the reason we're returning again is to asking again is that the condition of the floor continues to deteriorate, and we believe it's time to take action. The stage floor at the Hartford High School is currently being held together with gaff tape in many areas. When the stage floor was last replaced, the school did not install the requested floor and instead installed a floor that's not very durable. It's very similar to a thin plastic coat that easily chips on the surface. The top layer of the floor has been almost completely chipped off, which reveals the wood underneath. And this results in a very uneven surface, which requires having tape to cover the wood in a very unsuccessful effort to create a uniform surface. The stage floor needs to be repainted every few years with special oil-based paint. And we can't repaint the stage right now because if we add paint to it, the floor is going to bubble more and then add to that very uneven surface on the top layer that continues to separate. When I asked about the current safety hazards, I got kind of a long list, so I'll just summarize a couple items here. So one issue is that the set pieces that are on wheels get caught in the tape and can and have tipped over potentially onto students, thankfully not yet. Shoes get caught in the tape and then rip the tape up. And then a shoe gets caught in the resulting divot on the stage, which happened just last week during a dance piece of someone's shoe got stuck. Another problem with the floor is that the material really muffles the sound of tap shoes. And with musical theater, it's important to have a stage that can support the sound of tapping, since this is such an essential element of the art of tap dancing. The stage is used as a classroom throughout the entire year. This is where the class Broadway performance is held, as well as a daily advisory. In addition, the stage hosts other events like the high school musical, concerts twice a year, one-act variety show, triumph variety show, middle school musical, HACTC assemblies, general high school assemblies, middle school 6th grade play, sometimes town hall, school meetings, town meetings, sports conferences, Broadway Venture Summer Intensive Musical Theater Camp, Hartford Performing Arts Camp, and all sorts of other additional organizations that book the space. At any event, 30 to 50 people can be up on the stage at once. An approximate quote was obtained from the company Simple Scenic in May of 22 for the work of removing the existing floor and installing MDF, which is medium density fiberboard, on the stage for $35,000. We understand that more quotes would need to be gathered, though we wanted to provide a ballpark amount for what is being requested. In closing, as many students, staff, and members of the Upper Valley community will say, the Hartford High School stage is one of the hearts of the school. It's a place to gather, to be heard, to be seen, to take risks, to collaborate, and to build confidence, which are all important transferable skills for our students to bring into their adult lives and beyond in high school. Let's give them a stage floor that is above all safe and also something we can be proud of. Thank you again for your consideration of this important request. I think we have some students that would like to speak as well.
Thank you.
Ready to say my name?
Please.
Hi, I'm Molly Fournier-Stevens. I'm from Wilder, and I am the current stage manager for our high school and middle school productions. This basically means that I am constantly with all the students on the stage, making sure that they are okay and they know the show and we can put on the best show possible. I don't have much to say, but the things I do have to say is I've seen so much happen on the stage. I've seen kids flourish into amazing students, learn so many interesting things, and socialize so well. And to see our stage be broken down constantly and have so many hazards and potential injuries constantly occurring every day is just so sad to see from such something that brings us so much light and musicality. I know so many kids that have scraped themselves on our stage, which really shouldn't be happening, because I feel like a musical is a place where we should see light and should inspire the younger and current generations instead of seeing this ripped up open wood stage. I am one of those people that before every single show is taping our stage back together to make sure that our set pieces won't tip on our lead actor so he can do his final spin and dance move. And all these precautions just are something I shouldn't have to worry about during a show if we had the correct equipment and that was up to the safety protocol. I think that if we really want to move forward and to put even a better production than we already have, the only real decision should be to get a new stage and to further our younger generations. We also have another student speaker here.
Absolutely.
Hi, my name is Madison Richardson. I'm from Quechee. I am a performer at Hartford High School. I'm a freshman. I am in choir. I've done the musical, the one act, the variety show, among several other productions in the past few years, as well as I've been in a few classes that have been partially held in the auditorium. I can speak from personal experience that stage is absolutely not safe. I have personally been injured several times. Several of my friends and other community members have also been injured. It is not a small want from our school, because several people who are in the performing arts department have made their way here, and we are representing a very large number of people. I was at Concert Grand, which is just 7th through senior in high school age groups, and the amount of people that were there just for performing was astronomical. The biggest event I've ever seen held at the school. And also, arts is an amazing way for people of all age groups and communities to come together. It really is beautiful to hold a musical or show and have people from local senior homes come and have people from pre-kindergarten, elementary school ages come. People are brought together by art, and art is a major unifier in our community. It is very important to Hartford and has been important to Hartford for a very long time. This is a major thing that we need to be thinking about. Nowhere in any school should there be holes in the floor that are obstructing students' safety, and especially not for so many years. I remember I tripped in one of the holes and fell flat on my face off the stage in 6th grade, and it still has not been fixed yet. And I would like to see it fixed before I leave. I have younger siblings that are starting at the middle school and high school experience that are performers. I do not want them to be injured. I have friends and community members because the performing arts department is an amazing community. And it is also shown by the amount of parents and students who are willing to come here today to speak that they care as much as I do. And there are lots of people that could not make it today, but still care greatly about this. It is very important that we ensure the safety of all students at Hartford High School and allow them to flourish in what they want to do. A lot of performers that go out of Hartford become professionals at performing because of how amazing the department is. We foster an immense amount of community, talent, and drive in this department that we need the materials to continue fostering that and continue letting that grow, because it is truly a beautiful experience that it benefits the entire town and school community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
We're good.
Thank you
So-
very much.
As you might have seen in the agenda, or on the agenda sheet, we post, how we normally respond, to public comment. So people have an understanding, as to our process as a board. So I have my own feeling about it, but I'd like to suggest to the board, since we have two members, of our building committee, on the board, here, I would suggest that our building subcommittee meet with the superintendent and bring back a recommendation to the board for our next meeting. It's a short timeline, but I think based on what we've heard this evening, that time is of the essence. So unless there's disagreement to that, we could just do it through consensus with the board. If you feel that that is a good direction for us to go.
Maybe you too.
Russ?
Yeah, I guess first off, I'll acknowledge I probably have a conflict of interest, but I do think the process you suggested, Coach, is warranted and should be undertaken.
I know, Coach, if I may, the director of facilities has looked at the floor. I don't know the exact status of, his assessment right now, but I did text him to try to figure that out, but I will get on him tomorrow and see what the status is and meet with the facilities group and see what they want to do.
Okay. To our community members, as you noticed, one of our board members said, he has a conflict. I understand that conflict. I'm in that same vein. Both of my daughters who graduated from Hartford were theater geeks. And needless to say, still are involved in different ways. And it all came from here, from home, basically. And I was a theater major too, but that's a separate issue. So that being said, all of your points are very well taken. And we really appreciate you coming forward to the board to try to help us see things that we might necessarily see on a daily basis. So I really applaud you again for coming before the board.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I can't emphasize enough, I really appreciate the thoughtful presentation. And I know as a young person, it isn't necessarily easy getting up and speaking like that. So thank you for coming forward, and I truly appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you. Either I'll get back to all of you somehow, or the next board meeting, we'll report out what the board wants to do.
Great.
So much.
Thanks, folks. You're very
Thanks
So thank you again. And great job.
for coming.
students.
And we can't
Thank
get you
you.
to stay. It's very exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Y'all you maintained a full house for 21 minutes, though.
Geez, we know how to clear a room, right?
There is that side of it too.
Okay, I guess that brings us to communication and support to the board, superintendent's report.
All right, well, thank you. We're in the midst of training staff for the new state assessment. And so far that's going well. As you know, they adopted something very late, and the training and preparation for it has been a little haphazard. People have been very concerned about the rollout of this new assessment. They went away from the SBAC and adopted a new test, but at least now we have the training materials. I think staff have been trained this week, and right after vacation, we'll start the testing windows, like 3 weeks. We'll be working on that state assessment. Spring sports have begun. The students landed in Morocco, I think, this morning. I got an email from Doug Anton that they were there and they were safe and they were happy, very excited. Long day, but they are in Morocco. And the middle school musical is Seussical this year, so based on the Dr. Seuss book, so that should be interesting if you want to see that. And they're in the middle of working on the preparation for that. We did join the Jewel lawsuit. So we got word this week that we're going to receive about $28,000 because we're one of the schools that joined in the legislation or the lawsuit suing the vaping company Juul that was marketing to youth with flavored tobacco and other things. So we probably won't see that funding till the fall, but at least we're getting something. We're in the midst of hiring season. Contracts are due back from teachers on the Monday after vacation. I think it's the 15th. And so we're in the middle of hiring, posting all the positions that are vacated or people aren't returning, as well as a few administrative positions, director of CIA and the director or coordinator of equity. So we've been gearing up for those two big searches. They close right after vacation too. I think it's the 15th. Interesting. I thought the board might find it interesting that we're doing anti-bias training with all the search committees this year, so that folks are trained to, leave any issues at the door and really think clearly about the candidates and not any biases they might have from their development. So pretty happy about that. Got about 40 days of school left, believe it or not. All of a sudden we're in the last quarter and we're nearing the end. So it goes quick. Next week, like I said, is vacation, so spring break. So everyone's sort of frenzied this week trying to get things done. Do you have anything from Julie about the VICLA AOE conference?
Not so much from there is a conference, I know Julie's presenting, where they have a collection of all the curriculum directors in the state gather at Montpelier. chance to discuss. I think a lot of it will revolve around possibly the rolling out of the new cognia testing. But when she comes back, she'll be able to report out on how that went. The only other thing that I would want to add to what's exciting and what's going on is high school scheduling. Students have signed up for classes, and it is really how we highlight flexible pathways at its finest at the school. The students' selections create the schedule as opposed to the teachers creating, here's what I'm offering, and then students fill. It's okay, here's a course catalog, take your 8 options that you want, and from that they'll build the schedule. And it's an exciting time. That's one of the things I miss most from being one of the assistants there, was just seeing what's interesting, what's driving. Russ has a daughter in school, and it's each year you can be offering a completely different set of courses depending on what interests the students have. Cassandra this year is teaching a world language class that has sign languages as one of the components that we've never offered that before, but it was of an interest to a group of kids. So just as we try to offer something for every student to be truly engaged in their process, that's one of the highlights.
All right, that's my report for tonight.
Well, thank you. I guess that brings us to the next section, which is governance process. And we have our second read of EL 10 with revisions. And that is our race and equity ends policy.
Yeah, coach and board, there were no changes at the last meeting in the first read, so tonight you can see the draft with the highlighted additions. Same as last time, so I guess if there's no other questions or concerns or additions, then you would approve it after the second read.
I continue to be good with it.
Same here.
So,
I did do a little editing. There was some grammatical issues, but I think I fixed those. Obviously, if the board approves it tonight, then I would put it on the website without the highlighting. That'll be gone.
so Coach, are we looking for a motion?
We're going to need a motion to accept the policy as amended from its original version.
Okay, I will make a motion to approve the policy as presented with the revisions that were discussed previously.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to accept our EL 10 policy, with revisions for final adoption. Unless there's any further discussion. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Great.
And thank you to everyone. Russ, thanks for your insight. And thank you, Peter, and the rest of the policy committee, Roy and Tom and others for keeping the district moving forward. Thank you. So our next item is the hybrid meetings and public comments. Tom?
Yeah, well, at the last meeting, we had some technical difficulties, to say the least. So the topic came up about why we were still doing this, the Zoom meeting and the in-person meeting, and we had people in Zoom who wanted to comment, and that wasn't able to work, but we had no one in the audience, and it was just a little bit unwieldy. So board had some questions about whether what's the status of the hybrid meetings? Do we need to continue them, or can we go back to in-person, and people can certainly view the meeting and observe, but not participate remotely. Nancy was happy to look into it with VSBA because she's on the board. And do you want to say what you found out, or?
Sure. It is no longer required that we have hybrid meetings. So therefore, we do not have to have them unless we want to. If we want to, we can have them until June of next year. After that, they're completely gone, unless something unforeseen happens in that time frame. But it is no longer required to have them. So it's up to the boards, each board, whether they want to continue with them or not, until June of next year anyway.
When it functions properly, I'm in favor of it.
Mhm.
But we've had technical difficulties several times, and I know the select board has. So then it comes down to a question of, one, are we following the open meeting laws?
Mhm.
And two, are we fostering the communication that we hope to achieve by continuing these hybrid meetings? And I think last meeting was an example. No, we didn't, because a couple of people wanted to express opinions, but were unable. So we can't give the illusion, I guess is what I'm saying. So if we could get the technical difficulties straightened out, I would be in favor. But until that's, we have to know. In other words, there can't be uncertainty in my mind. It's either yes or no. It's going to work or it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the key. The governor's advice that was approved by the legislature is accurate based on what Nancy was sharing, because it was a legislative action that allowed for the continuation. And the question will be, will that go on in the future? And my understanding from the Committee of Jurisdiction, which is government operations, is they will probably recommend that it continues. And it's a similar conversation to what Russ was just talking about. It's a question of the quality of the meeting, the electronic quality of the meeting. And you would have thought that after doing it for over 2 years, that we'd have the technical glitches worked out, at this time. We use it actively here because we have witnesses coming from all over the state. And it's a little different, but not so much in the sense that that's the whole idea, being able to have more people active. I was in a meeting here at the State House, and we had 187 people on the call during the testimony of the committee that I was visiting from my, it facilitates a lot of things when it's working, so I guess my question, to Tom as our liaison, to CAT, well, to JAM now, is an explanation for why and what the outlook is looking like as far as the future goes. Because I looked at the charting, the meeting before last, we had a little over 150 people, viewing the school board meeting, so live, and as of them, a few do want to be able to make comments. But if we can't make that happen, then you know, it's not working the way we should. So.
Well,
anyways.
Coach, I did meet with Samantha Davidson and Chico from GMC, formerly CATV, and we talked for a while about the problems, and it seems like the problems were with the equipment in this room is believe it or not, I still think of this building and the renovation as new, but as you get older, years fly by and it's not as new, and especially in the technology field, it's old equipment. So they did explain what they'd like to do in this room and upgrades, but Chico also made some adjustments and some changes for this meeting, trying to eliminate the wire that connects the computer to the TV, which really controls the microphones and the input. And that was the problem last time. It wasn't necessarily with GM or CATV, but with the actual equipment in this room. So he feels like he's made the adjustments that will be better. And in the future, they're going to look at, upgrading the whole system in this room. At the same time, I also talked to them about our renovation at the tech center. And the best room is going to be equipped with this, the same style of equipment, but new. So the school board can have their meetings in that room when that's complete, if they choose. But in the meantime, we're gonna upgrade equipment in this room, and we can have a backup of, whether one of the board members or like Roy and myself have computers online that we can use for the input. If for some reason the Zoom meeting, the sound fails on the big TV, we can use our computers to get the public input. So we do have a backup plan. I think we're working on a good plan to upgrade stuff, and it should be better from here on out. The thing is, like Russ asked for, is that we should never have technical difficulties. I don't think we can ever say we'll never have technical difficulties, because, even millions of dollars of equipment, they still have issues from time to time. But I think we can get a lot better. All in all, over the years we've been doing this, we've had a few times where we've had real problems. The last couple months have been bad, but up until then, I don't remember, other than that night that we were at the auditorium and CATV thought we were going to be here, but that was more or less equipment and more logistical.
Communication.
So I don't know if that satisfies some of the questions, but we did meet and talk about it for a while, and they're certainly apologetic, but on it. I think what he did with the TV here is he set up a wireless transmission rather than the cord that we were using, the HDMI cord.
Yeah.
It's in a terrible location. It's under Roy's foot. And so it gets kicked and bent all the time in both meetings. For some reason, the way this room is set up, the microphone and the audio all comes through that TV. So if that TV is not working right, Zoom isn't working right. Well, as far as the audio for people talking and us responding to them. But see, tonight it's working well because Kevin can hear us and we can hear him perfectly. And I don't think we're using the hard wire.
See that I think Tom, nailed it. We've been going through the same, thing here at the State House, but just imagine the size. Okay. When you've got 180 people utilizing the system, and then on top of it, we have 800 users a day utilizing our Wi-Fi, here in the building. So our tech team, is dealing with everything that we just talked about on steroids. And we've managed to keep that going. And I think to Tom's point, as we discussed the rollout of the best room, over the last few years, part of the goal was that that facility would be equipped to do exactly
Mhm.
what we're talking about here as needed. And we also knew that equipment ages out, especially technical equipment, and everybody here knows that, we deal with it every day in our regular lives. So, but anyways,
Yeah. Just so you know, Coach Chico, the production manager, was here
Mhm.
before the meeting just to make sure that everything was working well.
Mhm.
I think on top of all that, last time they have new staff, and I don't want to blame anything on the new staff because they're trying, but like everyone, especially the school system and the bus company and the cleaning company, we're short-staffed. And when we're able to have our staff, we're not always able to train them as quickly and as well as we'd like to. So
Yeah.
there's that on top of the equipment issues in this room.
Mhm.
So understanding perfection's not possible, that should be our goal.
Absolutely.
And I think it would be appropriate to discuss a long-range plan for the meetings.
Mhm.
And if it's equipment that's needed, even a joint meeting with the select board, the two governing bodies might step
Mhm.
up and help fund some of this. And I do think I would like, in an ideal world, for this to continue forever. And I don't understand why it couldn't, because you could always have a call-in option. So
Right.
why couldn't we do video if it's working?
Right.
And my last point, and I'm sort of jumping ahead, this would be an excellent topic for our next community engagement meeting. And then people could step forward and say, yes, if it's working, it's good.
Mhm.
And if we don't get much interest, that in itself might be an indication.
So Russ, why don't we take that under, advisement as far as part of the topic, for the community engagement meeting, and one of the other, pieces, of that discussion, is trying to get back to at least, 1 to 2 meetings, with the select board, like we used to do prior to COVID. Because prior to COVID, we did meet with our, fellow board at least once a year. And usually what we did during those meetings was we picked a topic. The last one we had was around park and recreation as the primary, topic. And then we also talked about other related combined activities that the two boards actually are involved with. So there was a brief discussion about H. Corey during that meeting, as well. And it was a dinner, meeting. So we broke bread and, and had a good discussion. We talked about bonding, in the bonding cycle. Remember, Russ, that was one of your concerns, just before, the pandemic. So I think that, it's time, to try to get, something together, possibly for a community engagement. If we could connect with the board and look towards a community engagement meeting date for a joint, meeting, and not have it be too heavy, just kind of like a recommitting to the work,
Yeah.
if that makes sense to the rest of the board.
Yes.
And I think, Coach, in terms of the equipment, it's certainly something I'd love to have a first try at that with the acting town manager. I don't think that rises to the level of the board needing to take time. But I've
Well-
already talked to Samantha and Chico, and they were getting estimates on what they think they need. And then we've always just worked that out in the past as to
Yeah.
how we can split it fairly.
Mhm.
So,
Well, I was thinking more about the other piece,
Yeah.
just the getting back together part.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
agree.
not
I
so
just
much,
didn't-
yeah,
yeah,
slowing
didn't wanna
down,
waste time on
Right.
that.
not slowing down your effort because you've already done the background work, for that part of the discussion. And I agree, it doesn't have to elevate to a board level discussion, it's just a technical piece that will keep things moving, smoothly. So,
I would definitely agree with that. But the other thing I'm gonna throw out, since we seem to be talking about two of the subjects under this
Yeah, we moved
at
into
the
the
same
second.
time, is what is the thoughts of my fellow board members if one of us, and I'm volunteering myself at the next select board meeting during public comment, politely mention that they were useful meetings, because it occurred to me as we're talking, the leadership and most of the composition of the board, select board, is different than it was pre-COVID. So they may not recognize the benefit.
right.
There's very few, if not just one.
Yeah.
member, I think.
And I know.
Well,
Go ahead.
Russ, I think, you nailed it on the head. I mean, we need to extend the invitation, as our board. And there's no better way to do it than through our liaison, I mean, other than, formally sending an email, that kind of thing. But, there's no better way to do it than public comment, which we can, what I would like to do is let me know when you're going to do that invitation, and our board, if we're in agreement, we can send the invitation following your formal, invitation on behalf of the board. And what I mean by that is we don't send it, we'll draft it and have it ready. So it says, this is a follow-up from, Russ's request, we might even send it the same night, but this is a follow-up, from our liaisons, request from our board, something to that effect. I know it's getting a little, into the scripting, but sometimes we have to be intentional in order to get what we would like to see happen.
Yeah, I can guarantee you it's not going to be at the next select board meeting because that's April 18th. And I'm a little distracted on April 18th.
I hear you.
So it would be the one after that, Coach.
Okay. But I think we could coordinate,
Yeah.
that in such a way that, they're clear we're serious about, reconvening, those events, because, they were beneficial, I think, for the whole town.
Yeah. Great. You just hit two of the topics.
Efficiency,
Multitasking.
multitasking.
So, so we have the calendar still left and the H. Corey appointment.
Yep, and public comment structure.
Yeah.
All right, so public comment, just so we're staying in order. Years ago, we were having some concerns around public comment and things coming up sort of out of sync with the pathway that might be the easiest for folks to get what they need addressed. Whether that's a parent with a concern about the school or even like groups tonight that came. It's always easiest for the parent or the person with the concern to go to the most accessible person. So if a parent's having a problem with their child in school, the obvious first step would be to go to the classroom teacher and say, Johnny's coming home upset, or Susie, got a poor grade or missed the homework, whatever it is, some other issue. Sometimes people, because they're passionate about their children and the experience, they jump steps to try to get things resolved maybe quicker. So I wrote this up, and the board really at the time enjoyed it and liked the way it was presented. And it worked for a while. And I think it still works. It's just that what we did to make it a little easier to follow is created a flow chart
Mhm.
to sort of help guide parents, community members, but also the board when something comes up, and whether it's heated or you say, where could you get this resolved? Have you talked to the child's teacher? No. Have you talked to the child's principal? No. Have you talked to Tom, the superintendent, about it? No. Or yes, making sure that it's already flowed through the system so that, one, it's being dealt with in the quickest and most accessible, easiest way. And two, it's not raised to the level of the school board. One, maybe taking time unnecessarily, or elevating it to something much more than it maybe needed to be. Where and then it also safeguards against perhaps an issue that, since it hasn't been dealt with in the proper avenue, is coming to the board as something much more than maybe it ever was. If I'm aware of it, it's like, well, the way this is being presented tonight is 10 times more than what I've heard from the principal or from the school or dealt with on a discipline level. So it's just trying to structure it so that we're not creating more work or more harm or more ill will or stress around something in the school that's necessary.
I think, Tom, the flow chart's helpful because people, like visuals. It's always easier when you can see it, like on paper.
Put it up here. Yeah.
And I think that's part of the reason why we continue to use our, analog chart for our process for public comment on each agenda. So, but having this, for a quick link, on our website, and possibly using it, because it wouldn't take much, if we preempted public comment, for the next, few meetings, with the chart and a brief explanation. It only takes a few minutes to review, but this is our process.
Yeah.
And I think that will help people because if they don't know, they don't know.
Right, and that's what I want to make sure, Coach. I'm not saying anybody's doing anything wrong. I think that they don't know, and we haven't communicated that well. So they think the school board's the biggest authority. We might as well go to them and get our issue addressed right away, and everybody will fall into line. But the reality is if you haven't gone through the process, one, it might take you longer, or at the very least, it's going to go back down the chain to the teacher anyway. Because if the teacher weighed in, I got to ask the teacher what happened. Okay,
exactly.
This is what I did, and then, or the principal did some. I've got to go ask the principal, and it just takes twice as long as if it had gone to the teacher or the principal or me first. But people don't know. Even tonight, had the issue about the stage floor come directly to me from the principal, or they had already talked to the principal and came to me, I could have probably dealt with that, the same way that we're going to deal with it, or quicker.
Right.
Because, and again, I'm not trying to place blame on anyone, because I think folks just want their concerns addressed. They're not trying to be devious or
No.
problematic.
You know, but like you said, it could have saved a little time in the sense that because the board agreed about the level of importance and you agreed about the level of importance, you know, we might have been able to have actually a response for this meeting versus having to wait until the next one.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, a lot of times things aren't all that clear. You have so many different people in the school. There's you know, several layers. So sometimes there might have been some disagreement at some phase of this. So they thought that the board was the next level, but you know, I'm aware of the stage floor and it has been a concern. I've actually walked on it myself to check it out. I didn't know it was to the level that the folks who came tonight said, but I believe it. I mean,
Well, see, Tom,
out.
you didn't have your tap dance shoes on, so you wouldn't have known.
True. But you know, the chart I think is pretty self-explanatory, but I do think people will get quicker resolution of any issue if the concerns dealt with at the lowest level possible. And again, it's not to say you don't get to the board. You may very well get to the board if the teacher, then the principal, then the superintendent disagree or don't see eye to eye on the issue. That's fine, but at least then I have information too for the board. So it's not like, geez, what is going on in your school? I feel awful and the parents upset and it's like, or I don't know what they're talking about in front of the board, my boss.
Is this something that I think it would benefit to have the flow chart and maybe even this whole page that you've got here in the parent family handbooks that each of the families get? So that's right there in front of them. They can look at it each time without having to call somebody. Now, how am I supposed to do this? Or they've never even heard of it.
And you could do even better because you could put like names and numbers, phone numbers or emails right there.
Absolutely.
You know,
See, I think Nancy, your point's, you know, well taken, because when we had that discussion about that narrative piece versus this flow chart, the suggestion from the board was exactly what you said. So this is in keeping with that thinking, you know, that it's shared across the district.
Right.
You know?
This is on, the flow chart is on the school website, is it?
Just created today.
just made it today, so
Okay.
it will be.
So
If you like it.
No, the narrative one is,
The
but
narrative is, but you know, nowadays it seems like we've moved away from so much words and narrative to more flow charts. People read them and know what to do a little quicker.
one thing I would say in scanning the letter is the explanation of the process isn't there, and the benefit to the person with the concern is, I think that would be important. And even maybe draft a letter signed by the board saying, here's why this is the steps and here's our logic. Because that way it makes it clear, we're not trying to stifle public comment, but we want it to go through a process to be efficient and quick as possible.
Right.
One of the things I didn't mention, I talked mostly about a parent or a community member concern about a school issue. There are certainly appropriate things for someone to come without having gone through any steps to come to the board. So say they heard something from a previous meeting and they want to come and comment, that's totally appropriate in public comment. Or they have a question or concern about something that you're discussing tonight.
exactly.
Obviously, they would come to, you know, public comment, or they had something they want you to take up in the future.
Yes.
Right.
And I think spelling out those examples would be helpful. So, I mean, obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, probably somebody's not going to follow it, but the more we do to communicate, this is how it should be done, the more likely we are to get the result we're hoping for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So a little bit more, just so I'm clear in the narrative about why it's important to follow the
Mhm.
process, or how it might help you.
Yeah, or you could even have a separate. And so it's like right out front, like after the flow chart, here's the intent of this process, then get into how,
Mhm.
or the ordering would be up to your discretion, but I think, yeah, I think that would be a great idea.
Yes, I agree.
And remembering
it-
the audience that we're relaying
Right.
this to.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Not all of our parents have a master's degree.
Right.
So to make sure that everyone can understand it.
All right.
And I won't jump the agenda again.
Oh, sure.
But just put there, as part of number 7, this conversation could continue.
Mhm.
Correct. Yeah.
Exactly.
Might be good in that forum too.
But we're not gonna jump the agenda, so we're not gonna discuss it yet.
Yeah. Anything to add?
So I think, this is really, like time, sensitive, because it's continually trying to do what we've talked about doing, and have been attempting to do as a board, with all of our work as far as community engagement goes, and providing, a clearer access, for the community to the board, so that, we're being responsive. And I think that's, that's just part of our work, and anytime that we have a chance to make it clearer for the public for how to help us and help them move through it is a win,
Right. Yeah, I don't want anyone to think anyone is trying to prevent people from coming to the school board. It's just the quickest, best, most productive way to resolve matters is at, the original source. So again, if it's the
Exactly.
teacher,
Exactly.
if it's the principal, the guidance counselor, if it's me, we're gonna resolve it quicker. And if you come to the board, they're gonna ask me to look into the matter and resolve it. So it's gonna go right back down the chain, which is fine. But it's just gonna be a much more appropriate, better, quicker solution to. And again, if it's a legal matter or something really awful and it does get to the board level, then the board has, proper ways to deal with that. So that it's private and confidential, or, following the legal sequence and
Mhm.
not making a mess of that too.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
thank you for hearing us out on that.
So let's see. So in order that H. Corey.
Yes, Sarah Reynolds term is up on H. Corey, and she would like to be considered for reappointment. I think the select board may have already done that last night. So I told her I would bring that nomination to the school board and you would consider.
Oh, you mean Sarah Campbell?
Yeah.
Campbell.
Yeah,
sorry.
I was about to ask that very same
I'm
question.
sorry. I mixed her up with Ian Reynolds and Sarah Campbell. I'm
Yes.
very sorry. Sorry, Sarah.
So
And-
do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to reappoint Sarah Campbell to the H. Corey Committee.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to reappoint Sarah Campbell to the H. Corey Committee. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So moved.
Next item was the board calendar. I was trying to be a little more organized, more thoughtful about what's coming up for the next couple of months with school, not closing down yet, but thinking about the end of the year, things get very hectic. So I wanted to get the board's thoughts on any ends reporting before the end of the year. Usually we do that the last meeting in May and the first meeting in June. I know this year we've changed it up a little, but I wanted to do that. And also if there were any ideas, or at least get the board thinking about ideas for summer retreat, because sometimes that requires some planning on my part, and I just like to get going on that. Before you know it, it'll be May, and summer will be right around the corner. So
I would say for the May meeting, there should be some kind of recap
this one.
or a discussion of the ends, and even a preliminary discussion of what the focus is going to be for the upcoming year. I mean, it doesn't have to be the exact one. So here's some of the things under consideration, because one, that would allow the public to comment in a timely fashion. And two, if for some reason there was disagreement, it would allow it to be resolved before.
Exactly. And that's the whole purpose of this, in taking it up at this point. That's what we've done, like in the past, and that helps to frame the discussion for our annual retreat. And then part of the focus of the annual retreat, is that discussion of the the calendar or the work plan itself.
Yeah, the administration did plan, one more ends report before the end of this year. Like we did in December, we did sort of the first one with the new revised ends. We did plan to do something before the end of the school year for the board and community. But it would be really nice to know what you would like in the fall. And then also, we don't have to answer tonight, because I know I kind of sprung this on you, but to start thinking about summer retreat topics and the focus.
Right.
So what the board's always done is to have an extended meeting in the summer to talk about a single issue or maybe two. So, direction of the schools, that sort of thing, and really gotten in depth about it for a few hours. So that's what we're talking about. I think last year we started the conversation about revising the ends policies. And it was a good one.
It very much was.
Kind of led us all year long with, work. Change the course of the work of the board. Yeah, all right.
And it's towards the process of being proactive versus reactive.
Exactly.
But it'd be nice, in the board calendar, which Roy has up on the screen now. It's a lot going on there, but it would be really nice to this spring, and even in the board retreat this summer, really map that out. So we plug in ends report, so that, Julie and Roy's replacement and I know when those are coming up and what the board expects, and we can publicize it and gather all the data that we need. This calendar has really worked pretty well for us.
It's been a great guide.
Yeah. So that's really that. I just kind of wanted to plant the seed to start thinking.
For sure. Okay. Let's continue moving along.
I know, I already talked about the next one, right?
Yeah. Somebody was a bad boy.
Ooh,
So, but it's been circulating, and now that we're, kind of out of the, the pandemic in so many ways, it's time to start getting back to some of the things that we've done that have worked in the past, and it only makes sense to bring it back into play.
Yeah. Well, I did.
Go ahead, Tom.
Well, I did dig up what Sherry Torrey, the board secretary, had done in the past and tried to update it for tonight about your committee assignments.
mhm.
So Roy's got it up on the screen now, but I think there's one. I think I put it in your packet, but if I didn't, it's here.
It's in the packet, yeah.
And what currently the assignments are. So you have a new board member. And you just got to work out who's doing what, but there's quite a few committees, as you know. How many are there all told?
14.
14.
Mhm.
And I possibly missed some, but I think I got
God, I
them all. I can't imagine I missed them, but you want to maybe just start at the top and go through with who, if
Sure.
if the current
Yeah.
board members want to
Yeah.
continue. So we already have both Russ and Doug serving on the district facility and planning committee.
Mhm.
We could look for a community member, because Doug, at the time that he was appointed to that, was a community member. Now he's a board member. So maybe you want a community member would be healthy.
Definitely at least one.
Yeah. And the committee's small. It's Jeff Marino, the athletic director, Jonathan Garthwaite, the facilities director, myself, and Mr. North and Mr. Heaviside. So
It's a pretty nimble group.
it is. It is.
So finding an interested community member,
Mhm.
we could probably do it like we would advertise, for a vacancy, because we're constituting an extra seat, if that makes sense to the rest of the board.
Makes sense to me.
Mhm.
That way Tom can just, put it out through our normal channels and, post it internally, and the external postings and all of that.
Yeah, that'd be great. And that charter commission, I don't know, Nancy, I was going to ask, are they sort of, since it didn't go forward this year in the election cycle, is it reinvigorated and now next year you're going to bring it up again? That's what I thought. So it didn't go away.
Right.
Your place.
And no one wants my place. Come on. Yes, that's acceptable.
Okay. So I guess that's up for, I don't know how you want to do this. If you could just voice whether you want to continue or if somebody else wants to. That's usually what happens, Doug, is people say, well, I'm happy to continue on that, but if someone else wants to do it, be my guest.
My exact words.
Yeah, yeah, good luck.
Pardon me?
What is?
The charter committee, it's the town charter. And there's people from select board, people, school board and others. And we get together and meet and redefine the chapter if needs be. We spent nearly a year on it last year, but it didn't get voted in. So now we have to go back and look at the things that were brought back saying, no, we don't agree with this, and we don't agree with that. And then we start all over. We have somebody that is from the state house, or has at least been in the state house, to help guide us legal wise for the statutes we have an attorney that we could call if we need to ask their advice.
And I think to add some background, the city charter can
Yeah.
expand or override
Yes,
the Vermont statutes. So it's our chance as a city to modify as we think the rules should apply. So that's why it's important.
and it also, once the committee is completely done with it and the attorney has looked over everything to make sure that we've got all the i's dotted and t'd and squared and triangled and all the other things that we have to get done to it, then it goes to the House up in Montpelier, and the governor can deny it and say, no, I don't agree with this, and go back to the board and start all
You know,
over.
there have been times when, you know,
There have been.
it does require gubernatorial, you know.
Yes, I served, this is the second one I've served on, so I will be glad to serve again unless someone else wants to step up and use Tom's words, unless someone else is interested in doing it.
I did the first 4, and you know, it's what Russ said, you know, it is an opportunity for Hartford to kind of define itself. And, you know, I think in this ideation, in trying to do that, you know, that's where we, you know, we couldn't come together, so to speak, you know, and that's what slowed the process down. But that's fine. That's what the
That's what it's
whole
about.
engagement process is about. So,
It does take a large time frame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Big
lots and
time
lots
frame.
of meetings, you as the committee, and lots of extra work that that you as one of the committee members may have to go out and do some research and then come back and report to the committee. So it does require a lot of time. If you don't have the time, then don't even think about it, because it will. But if you've got the time, it's interesting, but it is very time consuming, and you learn a lot, actually. I thought anyway, that it is very time consuming. I just want that to be right out front. It's-
A lot of the rules get played out around town meeting cycles. So a lot of it comes to life around how people in Hartford can petition the board for an article, something they want to spend money on, how the election cycle flows, how it works. So it's that level of like democracy at the town level. And yeah, it can supersede or add to
Yes.
what the state requires. So how many days before an election does this need to happen?
And at least one of the proposed changes was to allow larger participation of putting a article on the ballot to bond for some projects, not necessarily requiring either board's approval.
Mhm.
And somebody spoke out against that. I don't remember who.
yeah, I remember that.
Wasn't-
That was a bone of contention.
Yeah.
Still is.
You learn
Doesn't
how
sound
to
like
work
it.
with others.
Not sound like it.
You need to play well in the sandbox to go on this.
So I would suggest that, you know, Nancy, are you still interested in being our rep?
Sure. If no one else wants to do it, I will be more than glad to do it. If someone else wants to step up and do it, then my feelings won't be hurt. Just that, did I put that not correctly? That's not exactly what I meant.
Yeah,
But yes, I would be more than willing to stay on the committee.
Okay, cool.
I'll answer it with that.
And so with the Visbit VHI, that's, you know, we designate, you know, a person, you know, I did it for a number of years, and then, you know, Russ, you know, asked to do it. So as long as you're, you know, with us, would you consider doing it for the upcoming annual meeting?
unless somebody else wants the honor, let's continue. I mean, of the committees, it's the easiest one. It's one
Yeah, right.
meeting.
One meeting, yeah.
And Doug, what that is because all the school districts have bonded together in the state of Vermont to form the Vermont School Boards Insurance Trust. And the other is the Health Initiative. So we're sort of self-insured. And this is everybody has a representative in the votes and the way that they do their business. Every school board has a representative to vote on big changes or big initiatives. So that's what Russ does once a year. Usually there's nothing too huge. Some years there's something big.
Yeah, a little more controversial.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been in one. I think that, yeah, that has been no significant issues.
Yeah.
Mm.
And Hikori was Hava, Walter Armstrong and Russ North, but with Hava leaving, I don't know if there's another school board member. Have you been doing it or no, Nancy?
Not really, off and on, whenever I get a chance, because it interferes with another one of the boards that I'm on. But they do need a second school board member. Are they counting them as liaisons? How are they counting them?
No, and that's what I was gonna bring up.
Okay, go.
They are not liaisons on HCORY, they are voting members. And as I've alluded to before, one of the difficulties is that they propose resolutions that affect the select board, and I've never felt comfortable
Yeah.
voting on that because the school board shouldn't be telling the select board what to do and vice versa. And I had an interesting discussion with Mr. Collins, the select board's representative, because he didn't quite understand where I was coming from. So there's that inherent conflict. And there is I won't say a perception, but it's been noticed that only one school board member
Yeah.
has been showing up and not necessarily all the time. It's several comments I've gotten. Who's going to be the other person?
Right.
Who's going to be
Yeah.
the other person? It's an important committee.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be more so as we figure out how it can help.
Mhm.
So Doug, that stands for the Hartford Committee on Racial Equity and Inclusion. And again, I don't know if you want to decide each one down, because there might be movement elsewhere too. So I don't know how, to help Doug try to figure out what committee he might be interested in.
Well, why don't we talk about each one of them, and that
Yeah,
Then
gives him a little bit better.
yeah, that way he doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, the select board, sort of obvious, but we always have a representative from the school board that attends select board meetings to see what's going on, what might pertain to the school board, or maybe that we want to weigh in on, or that the school board member wants to at least come back and report out to the school board, something that the select board is discussing. Anything else with that, Russ?
No,
HACTC Advisory Board, this is the technology center. And because it's a regional school and it involves students from the whole Upper Valley, every school board that participates and is a member of that regional school has a representative, and then every superintendent that has a school that participates attends quarterly meetings, and that's a government. It's a required board for the tech center, and they actually do make decisions around operating, managing the tech center. So before the school, the school board, Hartford School Board governs the tech center, but the advisory board really is more on the ground as far as new positions, expenditures of money. So I think, I don't want to speak for Mr. Merrill, but he's been doing it for a few years. I think he's probably flexible with whether he does that or something else. So he's the person on that board now. people usually enjoy that. You get to see kids a little bit more and the monthly, quarterly meetings. Policy, we go through regular policy updates. And then there's always some new policy that we have to sort of revise to fit our school district. So that's a pretty involved committee. Right now, it's Peter Merrill, myself, and Roy Hathorn. And then as soon as we get a policy to the place where it's we think it's completed, we bring it to the school board. Like you saw that EL 10. You've seen a few other ones, I think, already. Finance has been Coach Christie and Russ North really reviewing oversight of anything financial. They sort of reviewed the auditor's report with the auditor themselves. Any other financial decisions before they come to the board, or if they need to be handled before coming to the board. What else, Russ or Kevin?
I mean, we also discussed the appointment of the auditors themselves, because
Yeah,
the auditors work for the board, not for the
Mhm.
school district.
right.
And that's pretty much it.
Mhm.
And it doesn't meet with, it meets as needed. It doesn't have a regular schedule like some of the other boards.
Exactly.
Negotiations I left on here. I don't believe there will be a negotiation this year, but that's negotiations with your collective bargaining groups. There's 3 in the district: the teachers, the support staff, which is all of the paraprofessionals, custodians, maintenance workers, school secretaries. And then there's the teachers, and then there's the administrators have their own group too. But we did stid all 3 sets this year.
And historically, there's been 2 members, but this year there was 3 because somebody had a conflict of interest that couldn't negotiate the teacher's contract.
Yeah. Hartford Community Coalition. Nancy served on this for a while. How would you describe their work? Social.
Wow, it's growing and growing and growing.
growing.
Yes, it started, the Hartford Community Coalition started what, like 10 years ago, maybe?
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly. I
Just
should, but
after I began.
yeah.
Right.
Because
It was a response. It was a response to, there was a number of suicides that had occurred of student age children in the Upper Valley. And that was the essence of the beginning. The first convening was, I think, every social worker, every counselor in the Upper Valley. There was at least 50 of them that came together along with other community members to start a discussion about what do we as Hartford do as a community to try to protect our kids and keep them safe. And so that was the very, very beginning. But Nancy, you've been active since. So.
it's also grown that we are very involved in the mental health issues with students in our schools. We're also do the Take Bite Out of Hunger program in the summer for the kids with food, and that progressed into the winter. So we had a winter program also. We continue with that. We have a couple of programs. We have a program in the school called Coming to Y, and that works again with the kids, and one of the counselors here there. And now we're going to start talking with restorative justice, and they've got some programs to do with youth. And so we're going to be talking with them and seeing if there's some collaboration that we do with that. So it's very, very much community. We meet twice a month for our board meeting. Russ is the treasurer for that still. And mainly it's to help our youth. one of our big projects for this coming year is to find a place to have a youth center. And get that started again. We had one a long time ago and the kids need us to have that again. So we're doing that. I serve as a vice chair of that board. So I've just always taken it. I've always taken this committee because of the reason that I've been in it since the start. That doesn't mean that someone can't take it over because, go ahead. Oh, he's gonna contradict me on this. one.
No,
what?
there's a concern, since we're both board members.
Oh,
If somebody else came on to, as an advisor or whatever.
oh, okay.
We're in danger of.
There you go. There you go. That's true. That's very true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
we
the other
better
thing would
keep
be
that,
welcome. I just
unless somebody
think that's
change it.
You'd have a quorum
That's
of the
good
board,
point.
you'd have to warn the meeting.
Yeah,
Good point. Shall I go on to VSBA then?
Sure.
VSBA is the Vermont State Board, School Board Association. I am also on that. I still have 2 years to serve on that. I represent the part of the Windsor County community, so that means I get in contact with other school boards to find out what they're doing. They know that they can contact me if they've got some problems going on. I've become extremely involved with the legislative part of that. I try that's some of the reports that you get sent from me that I'm always bombarding you people with, just to try to keep you up to date on that kind of stuff. So I don't know how to answer that one.
I mean,
I'm part of their board.
Yeah, you kind of have to be elected, right?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
well, yeah, and so I've just. How does the board want to do that? Is it? Coach, do you
No,
know?
well, that one, that one is an extension of our board work.
Okay,
And so that, that's already predetermined by
Okay.
you being elected to it several years
Okay.
ago and
Okay.
still having to finish out your term. So that's more of a formality.
okay, all right, well, then that took
Mm.
care of that.
Community outreach, Russ and Hava did that. I don't know how you want to describe that. I mean, we went for years talking about public engagement and how to engage the community in the school board's work. And finally, Russ and Michelle Bolesky took that on and said, we're just going to make the second meeting of every month public engagement on a topic that we think the community wants to hear more about. And they did it. So right now, I believe Russ is doing that alone. So
I generally get a unanimous vote.
yeah.
But yes, I mean, and the other thing that occurred is this committee came to fruition right at the start of COVID, because
Right.
originally, or part of my plan was to have public meetings, much like, a little bit like the listening sessions that the select board is doing. But during COVID, that just really didn't seem to be an opportunity. I mean, it can be interesting and it can be fun. And I think it's definitely something we should continue. And the other thing to keep in mind, especially with this committee, is there is that distinct possibility, if no one else is appointed, it'll be a committee of none. I mean, I'm happy, whatever the pleasure is, to step aside if somebody else wants to take it, or stay as long as I can. That is, either way, no offense would be taken by me.
Manifest approval. Most school boards look at the manifest. And when I started here, they looked at the manifest together and they did a very sort of cursory, brief overview of everything that was being purchased and all the paychecks that were going out at every board meeting. And somewhere along the way, right, Coach, we decided that really wasn't good enough. People were just sort of signing off on all that money, all those purchases. without really looking at it thoroughly. And the board decided to sort of nominate one board member to be responsible for it and do it much more in depth. So ever since then, Kevin has done that and does a great job of looking through every purchase and every paycheck that goes out and signs off on it before the treasurer signs off on it, that it's okay. Send the money. That's how we started doing that. Thank goodness Kevin's been willing to do it. He does a great job. And then the newest committee is district equity, where the school district had a district equity team, and the board decided that Kevin would be on that or oversee that, and he's been doing that for the last few months. I think that's everything.
Yeah, I think that covers the list.
And I think I circled the ones I think that have some flexibility or movement, or have need for another member. And I don't know how Russ feels about the select board, but that's one that I don't know if it's available, but it's certainly, sometimes we've had two members share it because it's a big time commitment. The advisory board at the tech center, H Corey, and community outreach. So
Yeah, because each Corey meets twice a month, staggering between school board meetings. Although, since we moved this one up, there's an H Corey meeting going on right now.
Right.
Right, I saw that.
yeah. And again, I don't know if Peter would be interested in that too. If he was not going to do advisory, maybe he's interested in H Corey. I have no idea. So I don't want Doug to feel pressured to do.
Well, absolutely not. I mean,
Yeah.
we're sort of throwing this at him.
Yeah. And we can even talk about it at the next meeting too.
Well, being that, there's, so the next H Corey meeting, I'm just thinking about the things we need to kind of move on quicker than others.
Right.
I think the most immediate one right now is deciding H Corey. For continuity's sake. And
My only concern there, Kevin, is that Peter's not here tonight, and I know Peter has a big interest in race and equity. I don't want to speak for him, but I just wonder if he has an interest in that committee at all. If Doug doesn't, then Doug may have an interest in the advisory board at the tech center. I'm just throwing that out there. Please forgive me if I'm misspeaking.
So maybe, I'm trying to think of, like how can we do this so that, like our biggest or our biggest community commitment right now, I think that's still open is H Corey. And so what I'd like to propose is that if we look at trying to find a way to address that, and the way we might consider doing that is if we can just send a note to, so that we have not for formal having a paper trail, but just so we can complete the process, is, the board is requesting that if Doug and Peter would take a look at their schedules and see if either or would consider taking on H Corey. And if we could get that kind of like in place, at least for the upcoming meeting, that will keep the Hartford School Board's presence up to the 2 that we should be. And then we can complete the rest of the committees, at the next meeting. Just, I'm just trying to figure out a way, because with everything,
I
what are you
will
thinking, Russ?
on this committee, and if Peter expresses an interest, I will be very willing to withdraw my participation, and we can make that clear to the H. Corey committee that we're committed to having 2 members of the
Right.
school board. And
Cool.
just to continue, and also just to show that's why I may end up stepping down from the board.
Mhm.
But at least then, like you said, we'd have 2 members at the next H. Corey meeting.
So I certainly can communicate that with Peter if you'd like.
Yeah, so
That would, yeah, just to facilitate, that, because of the importance of that committee. And, it's one of the stable or stability issues, in our community as a whole. And so I think we really need to make sure our presence is felt.
and I would say that of the other 3 board members in attendance, if somebody wanted to step forward, they could step forward. Then if Peter expressed interest, I would be the one to step down. How often do they meet? Twice a month. Generally, and they're very good about keeping the
Yes.
meetings to an hour and a half. It's from 6 to 7:30. And they are doing Zoom meetings,
Mhm.
so you don't necessarily have to come here to participate.
Because I listen out on the Zooms a lot. And Sarah's doing that same thing. The reason that Sarah has her time on the time frame that they had for her and John, John's time frame was up and so was Sarah's, but there was nobody stepping forward. Nobody was saying, hey, I really want to do this. And Sarah said, okay, I will do it until we can get someone else to come in. So that's why the reappointment for her. But she does a great job at it. So,
Mm. All right.
but John is definitely stepping down.
So let's go ahead and move our work, our side of it. And then that way, and we can resolve the other pieces at the next meeting. Now that everybody, has seen the list and we know where the question marks are.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I'll certainly touch base with Peter tomorrow, so I'm not interrupting his holiday.
Yeah.
And let him know where we're at with this.
Cool. All right. And that'll give, Doug a chance to kind of digest all of this, because, it's a lot, extra stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you want to talk to me,
Mhm.
certainly reach out and we can chat more.
Cool.
Anyway,
The agenda here again
Oh, yeah, no. Are we just public comment?
keeps closing.
Coach, I'm gonna let Michelle in. She has public comment.
Yep.
Hi, everyone. How are you this evening?
Good, how are you, Michelle?
Good. Thank you. So I was just at the Hikori meeting and it was great. So well run. One of the things they're going to be discussing is policies and procedures. And I know somebody who's really an expert on policies. And so I just think that would be such a boost to them, if they are willing. The other question I have is, have you, as a board, contacted the select board to do a joint meeting yet?
We just discussed that, and Michelle, at not the next meeting, because that's April 18th, but the following meeting, I'm gonna get up in public comment and make an invitation to have that such meeting.
Okay, because the select board members there, somebody asked them a question and they didn't have the answer. So I'm gonna go to both meetings and bug you guys until you meet. Just an
Well,
FYI.
the thing is, we suggested that on election day.
Yes,
Okay, I spoke to all of the candidates that day and basically said, regardless of administrations and what's going on with, our, managers or whatever, the two boards need to get back together.
yes,
And so that was made very clear.
okay,
And Russ is going to be our emissary to the select board, because he is.
okay,
And then we will move forward from there. Because as you recall, when we did it, it was topical. And, once or twice a year, depending on, like the flow, but it's time well spent for the two boards.
no, and I agree, and that was one of the things that, when I first got on the school board, that was so exciting to me, and then it never really happened again. So I'm just hoping that, especially for this committee, because it needs the support of both the school board and the select board. And there are great people on that committee, and we're really, really fortunate. So that's all. Thank you so much. You guys all have a great evening. Thank you for letting me share.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Michelle.
Michelle.
Thanks, Michelle.
All right.
Yeah, timing's everything. So it seems like there's a general consensus, I'll just share. No,
You
go
did,
ahead.
you did have a joint meeting during COVID, if you remember, with
Right, that's right. Community
around-
engagement.
Yeah, community engagement around DEI work. Two of them, yeah. And it's hard. It was hard during COVID. It was hard enough to have your own meeting, but not to give you excuses, but it was a little complicated.
Yeah. Great. So are there any other hands or
No,
community out there?
Nothing.
So
No.
I guess that brings us back to the consent agenda.
yeah, you have two sets of minutes. I do have a lot of appointments, and a couple resignations. The monitoring reports, EL2 is in there. I didn't see GP8. I don't know if you cable that to,
Is that
I
me?
think it was you. I sent you a note, but I never heard.
Ruh-roh.
So I'm sorry, but it's fine to just bring it for next time.
Yeah, I apologize. Slightly distracted.
And you did send comments on EL2. I don't know if you want to put those on the policy committees.
I was gonna bring that up. I do think both policies need to be looked at. And I am gonna jump because it's not quite, but I would think that also could be a topic for the community engagement meeting, since one of the policies is relations with student, parents, and community.
Yeah.
And I'll be willing to more formalize my comments, because we can't get into too much discussion
Right.
since it wasn't on the
No,
agenda.
No, I just wondered.
But
Well,
I do think they need to be expanded in scope significantly.
agree.
We probably could do a review of quite a few of those because they haven't been looked at in a long time.
So again,
All the emails, GPs.
Yeah.
and-
it's a timing thing, and being that this part of the whole community engagement piece is exactly what we're talking about, it only makes sense if we can have some of this, at least framed so that we could have that be part of the agenda, for the upcoming community engagement meetings. That'll put us in a good position as we work through the rest of these.
Good.
So I agree with you, Russ. You know, it's a perfect opportunity.
All right, do you want me to do the appointments?
Please.
Yeah. I don't have that in there. Yeah, so there's a few, sorry, tis the hiring season, so. I will send these, Sherry, to you, so you have them all in writing, but, appointments, Leah McDonald, case manager with the district, she works out of the Tenney House. Shell Wallace is a science teacher at the high school. So just to clarify, anyone who was a one-year position needs to be rehired for the second year, so.
Hmm.
That's why you'll see names of people who have worked here this year. Michael Ferranti, science teacher at the high school, Rebecca Fours, sixth grade at the middle school. Rebecca worked here for years, long time ago, left to be closer to home and is coming back. And we're really excited about that at the middle school. Gabrielle Bradley is a new teacher this year at the middle school. Reappoint her. Carly Malloy, math teacher at the middle school. Carly Swenson, art at the middle school. Julia Anderson, special educator at Ottaquiche School. Carrie Amick, librarian at the Ottaquiche School. Amy Proctor, PBIS interventionist. That's a positive behavior reinforcement. Nick Loretzen, pre-K at Dothan Brook School. Amy Bedoin, special educator at Dothan Brook School. Kim Mitchell, second grade at Dothan Brook School. And Jennifer Wallstrom, a special educator at the Wilder School. Then we have a few resignations. Amy Fowler, who's phys ed at Dothan Brook. Brittany Holmes, been a longtime special educator at the Wilder School. Shane Quintana, English at the high school. Kalina German, fourth grade at White River. Sarah Hardy is a science teacher at the middle school. And Rebecca Hartford is fifth grade at the White River School, all leaving us, so.
Can I just make a comment for Doug? Because this is statutory that we have to approve all appointments and resignations. Otherwise, it would, under our governing structure, it would not necessarily be appropriate because Tom is our only employee. But it's a holdover from God knows how long.
Yeah, it's a state law that the board has to hire teachers and professional staff. So I hire paraprofessionals and custodians and secretaries, that's all okay, but professional staff, teachers and administrators, the board actually has to hire.
We don't interview them.
No,
Which is the problem in my mind with this whole process.
Yeah.
and I interview each teacher in a sense, but the committee at the school has already recommended that they be hired, so I meet with them in person or online, talk to them about their resume and talk to them about, their salary and benefits and nominate them to you. I think that's everything for your consent agenda,
Cool.
except GP8 is not in there, so that should be struck.
Mhm.
So we can entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda, as presented.
So move.
Second,
So we have a motion and a second to accept the consent agenda. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved. So that brings us,
Next meeting agenda,
right.
our engagement topic. I think Russ already outlined.
Yep.
yeah, I think yeah,
Got that.
the focus is going to be community engagement and in the policies and the things we previously discussed. Hybrid meetings and all that kind of stuff. So I think we have enough for a full meeting.
Right, right. Which makes sense.
All right. And somebody's got to do the evaluation. I think Russ does that, right?
You guys are gonna miss me when I'm done.
We are.
I just don't know.
I don't think you should.
At the end of the board meeting, each board member and the superintendent or appointed evaluator, which is me, for the meeting, completes this monitoring form. The responses are shared and a discussion is held on areas that need improvement. The chair collects the completed forms to use in the board's monitoring report. First, board was prepared for the meeting. I'm going to give us a satisfactory. Board's time was spent on ends, not means, I think very definitely. Each board member was given an opportunity to participate. Yes, satisfactory. Board treated all persons with courtesy and fairness. We definitely did that. Board adhered to Robert's Rules of Order as appropriate and as necessary. Satisfactory. Board adhered to its adopted governance style. It emphasized outward vision. It encouraged diversifying viewpoints. It exercised strategic leadership, not administrative detail. It maintained distinction between board and staff roles. It used collective decision making, and it looked to the future. That's all the big ass satisfactory.
Cool. So Tom, do we need, you had a request for an executive session?
Yeah, we don't need one. I'm sorry. We went over that before you joined.
Okay.
Yeah.
All righty. So that being said, I guess we can entertain the non-debatable motion.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
I heartily second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Well, thank you, Coach.
Well, one of the things about the democracy, you know, that non-debatable motion.
Right.
Oh, so Russ,
I was about to use
You nearly made it out the door.
I was about to use the restroom, coach.
okay, I'll catch you.
See you, coach.
Take care.
Hi, Coach. Oh, I never called him Coach. I was.